Well, we're glad to be here so close to opening day. Everybody's happy at this time of the year because we're all undefeated. It's like spring training in Major League Baseball. Everybody's undefeated. But today is a good, happy moment for us. But I'd like to also, send our condolences. We have personally to Coach Glasgow. Today we're all happy because, we're close to opening day, but yet he's bearing a child. So our condolences go out to him. I watched my mom and dad. I lost a brother when I first got here. So I watched my mom and dad go through that, bearing a child. And so I saw them go through it, so I know the pain that they're going through, and as a community, hopefully we can continue to love him and his wife through it, their family through it, the girls through it. And I've always believed this in my heart. 2 years ago, burying my mom is I don't think you can have heaven in a home until you've taken somebody that was once in your home that's now in heaven. And so I pray that she rests in peace, and pray for their family and their team. Our whole team has said many prayers for them and continue to pray for them. Again, and not only just them, but all the other people out there that have lost children along the way. Again, that's why the Wally Pontiff Classic is always special for me, because again, I've watched a mom and a dad bury a child, and I know what they've been through, and I saw it for myself and lived it, and so I know that feeling. So we hope and pray for him and his family, and everything goes the way that the good Lord wants it to go. Outside of that, we've been working since they've been back in the 4 hours a week, then the 20 hours a week. On the 25th, up and running. We'll start inter-squad tomorrow. We'll inter-squad Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Our injuries are good right now. Nobody's down. Everybody's up and running. Gunner's up and running. Handsome's up and running. Jack Burke's up and running. Dalton Horton's also up and running. All the guys that we had kind of on the DL in the fall were all up and running. Where they'll be by opening day, we'll see. But right now, everybody's good and healthy. I think the biggest key for us coming out of the fall into the spring is going to be our young pitching. I think that's it's going to have to mature and grow for us to be there at the end. And that's going to take a little bit of time. They're going to have to stay on the process. Growing up young pitchers is not fun. I've done it before in my 30-year career. The one thing you don't want to do is be young on both sides, pitching and with your hitters. So our hitters right now, that's where our age is at. We're bigger and stronger. We're just as faster than we were the year before. We have to stay healthy in the middle of the infield. We've got great depth in the outfield. We've got 3 catchers. That's gotten us the last couple of years with injuries behind the plate. But with McKinnon and Toro and Handsome, if Handsome can go back there, I don't think he's going to be able to catch every game. So that's why I think McKinnon and Toro are going to be important for us. But outside of that, I think I think we've in the fall, our 2 inter squads, we looked real good. Our strike zone awareness is real good. We're walking more. We're getting hit by pitches more. So that's going to help us along the way, because it's going to induce base runners. And because we're just as big, if not bigger and stronger, I think we're good there. That'll need to help protect the pitchers, protect the young pitchers. Last year we played great defense. I think we were in the top 10 in the country in defense. I think we'll play good defense. But we will have some moving parts. First base is going to be some moving parts. Right now, that's kind of our question mark to fulfill that position. I don't know if it'll be fulfilled every day, but Todd Lott's working out there right now. Spears is working there. LaHare's been moved in from the outfield there because he used to play first base. Plus, he's had a torn labrum that he's had in junior college, and so it's acted up on him a little bit. So for throwing purposes and because of the depth we have in the outfield, we've moved him into first base. So those guys are working at first base. Colt Frank's going to be doing some work at first base too, a freshman for us. He's going to be very good down the stretch as he grows and as he matures. Again, the biggest depth we have is in the outfield, and trying to set up the pieces properly. If Hanson can get behind the plate, that potentially opens up the DH. If LaHare can play at first, it opens up center field, which opens up the DH. So those are the big factors for us, is hopefully that we don't clog up the DH and get guys out on the field where we want them. You know, Bro's coming off red shirt, so he's now activated and up and running, which gives us a premium outfielder, another guy that can run, a left-handed bat. We've got third base, both Wyndham and Lockridge. Lockridge is more healthier from last year. Had to knock some rust off because of coming back from not playing for a long time. So he's a lot better. So I like where we're at offensively. I like where we're at with our position players. I just think the big question is going to be building and getting some experience in these young arms with a tough schedule. It's not going to relent. Opening weekend against Texas, then Sam Houston State, then Maryland and Louisiana Tech, and really anybody on our schedule. But you've got to train young pitchers somewhere. I mean, bullpen's good, inter squads are good, but until you wrap 5, 6, 7,000, 10,000 people around them at LSU or whatever, you got to grow them. And that's going to be the key for us. We're going to use a lot of arms, mainly because they're all young. And at first, I don't think somebody's going to be able to just go out and manage 7 innings. So I think we're going to use a lot of arms from time to time. I remember Hunter Moody, he left here, I think, 31-7, the winningest pitcher in the history of the university, and he didn't get past the 5th inning till his last start of his freshman year, I think against Southern in a regional. So it's very tough for freshmen to get through the 5th and into the 6th, simply because in high school they're all starters and they're only 7-inning games. So it's to be able to also build the bullpen with these young freshmen, because some of them have never been a closer. They've never pitched out of the bullpen before. So this is the things that we're going to have to do, you know, to be standing at the end. And they're going to have some thick skin, because, you know, again, you got Texas, you got Sam Houston on the road. You've got some tough schedule early. But, again, that'll weather them. And then, you know, hopefully they'll continue to grow as we get into this competition throughout the season. But our defense has to get them off the field. It's important for us. We can turn a double play to turn a double play. Freshmen sometimes, you know, Gunner can manage a hiccup here and there. He's a veteran. But a lot of times freshmen, it takes a little while for them to handle a hiccup. So we want to really try to lock it down defensively and get off the field when we can with them, and then try to protect them with some run production, with some scoring. But again, I feel good everywhere, and we do have some good arms. I just think they're young. And so that's, to me, is going to be our actual question mark, would be the growing of these young arms. Questions you might have?
You got a weekend rotation yet?
No, Friday, Saturday is locked down so far. You know, we're working on Sunday right now, and then the midweek.
I think you sure. So I'm going to get Gunners Friday, Saturday being...
Not yet.
biggest strength coming out of the fall is the outfield depth, or something?
Well, it's just, I think our position players are together. They're faster. We've you know, JT and Coach Wells have done a great job with them, and our strike zone awareness is so much better as a team. Getting hit by pitches, creating havoc, if you will, to where we can compete inning after inning. And it showed when we played against San Jack, you know, I mean, I think we had like, you know, 5 hit batters, 8 or 9 or 10 walks. I mean, all that's free bases. And the number one thing we try to stay away from on the pitching side of things is free bases. And so if we can pick up more free bases, because batting average has about a 60% effect on run production, but on base percentage and slugging percentage has a 90% effect on runs. And so we want to really concentrate on the slug and the on base percentage. And I think those are the two things we're going to be better at, which I think will lead to some run production. Now, opening night, we're going to see some premium arms. I understand that. When you see premium arms, a lot of times the score goes down. But over the long haul, I felt real good about our position players. And it's not that I don't feel good about the pitchers, it's just they're young. We're going to have to grow them. I can remember being out there with Guillory, Marks, and Gunner at, I think, it was in Texas somewhere, we were in a tournament when they were young freshmen, and balls were going out of the ballpark left and right, and they were young, and then all of a sudden, they started to come on. And then we got to build a bullpen because we've lost Okie, we've lost Moore, we've lost some good arms. Nick Lee's gone, Hogan Harris is gone. So those were two juniors that you'd have back right now, which would push everybody deeper into the pen. You wouldn't rely so much on young arms, but because of the draft today, it's gonna keep having a high turnover, especially in the pitching, because they need more pitchers than they do position players at the next level.
Who are the closer candidates, and also, same department, not really related, what's Caleb Armstrong's status?
He's up and running. He's fully healthy. He's throwing. He threw to live hitters the other day. He'll be in his first inter squad this week, full up and running. So every pitcher's pretty much up and running. Logan Savoy, who was redshirted last year, off of surgery, he's back up and running. So we've got right now all the pitchers up and running. We're going to plow through it Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and then we'll kind of work from there. I think Bradford's a candidate to close potentially, and then we'll kind of see. He gives us, he's a junior, so he gives us some age out of LSUE junior college. He's got the makeup and the mentality to close, because that's what you have to match up to close, is a guy that's got the makeup, not just the stuff. You can have the stuff and then lack makeup. That doesn't play. Then you can have makeup and not the stuff. That'll play at least better than the other way. So he's a good candidate, and then we'll see from there, because I think that's going to have to be an age factor until some freshmen come on. We got some freshmen that's got enough stuff to close. Again, I just think we'll have to plow through it and put these guys in situations until it kind of maybe develops itself.
How will you guys get better? How will you handle Gunner?
He's such a veteran, right now he's going to throw in his inter squad Friday, and he's going to keep his routine Friday to Friday to get back on his 7-day routine. But the thing about Gunner is it's like almost, handling a grown man. You can talk to him, he'll tell you how he feels, he's not lying, and you can just trust how he feels. So what we'll do is we'll see how he feels, and then just take our time with him, and then hopefully continue to grow him through the season, instead of trying to rely on him so much early that we kind of, drag him down. So nobody will go more than 75 pitches roughly anyway, opening day, but maybe he goes a little less. We'll see how he feels. He's up to 60, 65 pitches right now, so he's feeling good. He's recovering good. And we'll just, it's going to be an inning by inning and a game by game situation. Him and I have had, a heart to heart about being patient. Everybody's going to expect you to come out and be Superman or be where you once were. Maybe you'll be there, maybe you won't. I don't know, but you just need to take it easy. You're not going to forget how to pitch. That's the greatest thing about Gunner, is he knows how to pitch. And but if he can, we say this all the time, if Gunner can, be Gunner, that helps us on Friday. Our Saturday candidate right now is young. He's going to be the Saturday. guy right now. And then we're working on Sunday. And then, so we'll go inning by inning. He'll be on a good rest rotation from Friday to Friday. He knows how to get himself ready. He's been on a trek since he's had his surgeries, and he's doing good. So we'll just see. But if we can have him, Gunner be Gunner, and Handsome get back behind the plate, that's going to be two huge factors for us, because we lost both those guys last year, going into game one. And they're both alpha males. I mean, you want them on the field. The alpha males don't do you no good in the dugout. And Gunner can only be on the field once every, weekend. So getting Handsome out on the field will be huge if that leg will allow him to catch. And he doesn't need to catch every day.
How and how much can the strength of schedule help you later on? And in that Texas series, how easy or hard was it to get the home from them? And football learn anything from that?
Well, baseball coaches do that. We've had a good rapport with him since we crossed him at the NCAA Regional in Baton Rouge when he was at Sam Houston State. Bab's done a great job scheduling to be able to get that series. The Sam Houston State series with Matt, won't be easy. Maryland, Coach Sheff, our former head assistant coach here, is at Maryland. And then Bab's got, I think, TCU coming, potentially in a home and home down the stretch. He's really upgrading our schedule to the best we can. We sell suites, and we fix the stadium. So the biggest thing we want to try to do is try to bring the best baseball here we can for our fans. So the tough schedule, I think, is going to help, long as they can keep their blinders on and keep the old mule plowing and not get caught up in results. Because if you're going to get result-oriented in this schedule with young freshman arms, I don't think it's going to be good. I think they got to stay on the process, understand what pitching against good teams are going to do. Pitching in front of tough crowds, it's going to weather them. The more weathered you get, then you can maybe turn into a Guillory or, a Lee or those guys. They were all freshmen, and Wyatt Marks. Wyatt Marks, his freshman year, didn't lead the nation in strikeouts, but he did as he matured. And so their maturity is going to be important. There's only one way to mature them, is to get them out there. And so I think the tough schedule is going to help, long as we just don't, be too sensitive and stay on results. That's the biggest issue.
You mentioned patience with the process in terms of pitching, but in terms of hitting, how do you do that with, how you guys started last season and with the tough opponents you guys are playing, how you balance it?
Well, one, I think we'll be better, and I think we've learned a lot of things from last year. And the big key is not to live in last year. That was last year's team. That's not this year's team. Every year it's a different team. They all have to reach their potential as a team. This team can be different from last year. So that's the big thing, is I think this team has learned and has grown from that. And sometimes you have to go through some things to ultimately get where you need to be. I think we're better because of it as a group. And I just like this team. I like the fall with them. I like the spring with them so far. They're not heavy result oriented. They're about compete and throw down. And that's really what this is all comes down to. So I think they're going to be better. Sure, we'll face some premium arms. But you know what? That's the ultimate challenge to the system, is to face those premium arms and not get spooked by them. That's the difference in baseball. Why you need that team that can handle this, because you win a third and you lose a third. So what you have to do is you can't pick and choose the games you lose. I wish I could. I'd get the schedule right now and circle the third that we're probably going to lose and then go on. But you can't do that. And so what you've got to not let happen is, when you drop a game, let that turn you into a tailspin. Because the odds are you weren't going undefeated anyway. So the difference maker is being able to respond, being able to come back. And you don't know what you have in a team until you start this process. But I do like this team because I think they understand process. I think they understand that it's more than just Texas opening night. It's a process. It's a process that we're going to have to go through. And if they're willing to go through the process that it's going to take to win a championship, they'll win a championship. If they don't want to go through that process, then we'll finish where we'll finish. So what we're trying to do is continue to look forward and not to look backwards, and hopefully have grown from the mistakes that we might have had along the way, and I think they have.
How about the improvement? I had a really good summer.
Real good summer. Went out and did very well against good pitching, came back and slid into a bag and had a hand injury and went down all fall. Wasn't his fault, just a sliding injury. Now he's back up and running, and he's swinging the bat really well, and it looks like he's hopefully picking up where he left off. And he's another one, just like this sport, it'll send you through some tough times, and you've got to grind through them to get where you need to be. And I think he had a tough year last year, but went out, didn't quit, didn't run, didn't transfer, hung in, and faced good pitching all summer and got better. And to me, that's how you grow. That's how you grow as a player. And I look for him to hopefully have a big season this year.
Tony, you mentioned Young and Bradford, and both of those guys are junior college guys coming in. And then you mentioned the youth of your pitching staff. Do you have 3 or 4 newcomers that during the fall and so far this spring are maybe ahead of some of the others?
Well, I think Cook's thrown well. I think Stone's thrown well. Blake Schultz. We still have Jacob Schultz. With Batty and Perrin, I think with the lefties, Savoy giving us another lefty. He's off from being injured. Hopefully he'll continue to come on. But with Cox, hopefully he went out and pitched this summer and did well. But we just need, 5 or 6 of these young guys to just be consistent. They all have good stuff. The difference maker is just getting through the learning curve, and not running from the strike zone. That's the biggest issue you face with good young arms, is that they have a tendency to run to the safe side of the plate, which is right off the plate, and then they feel like they're pitching, and they're not. They're throwing ball 1 and ball 2, and then it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. They then come over the plate gets compressed on them, they get hit on the button, and then they run back to the edges of the plate again. So what we're continuing to try to do with these freshmen, they go outside in. What the good pitchers do is they go inside out. And so that's what they got to keep coming with, is being able to attack the strike zone and not to run from the strike zone and pitch behind in the count.
I don't want to dwell too much in last season. Did you have to pick and choose where you got better offensively? Was it the power or the average?
No, average doesn't really mean anything to us. Again, because it only has a 60% effect on runs scored. I don't really look at a guy's average. What I really care about is slugging and on-base percentage. And I think those 2 things are going to pick up. And I think when those 2 things pick up, I think that's what leads to some run production. And we're better mentally because we can grow through what happened too, because there's a mental makeup process that goes on through failure. Failure's not bad. I mean, a major league player fails his way to the top. I don't know one of them. And Kobe Bryant, when he got to the NBA, he started 2 games in his first 2 years. I mean, think about that for a minute, right? And when they asked him, how'd you do it? He said, I told my mom and dad to shut up and all the people around me to shut up. And what he did was he kept his mule plowing. The biggest problem you get into in the past, batting averages, what you once were, everybody keeps bringing all that up again. The biggest thing they've got to do is they got to stay, keep the blinders on and keep plowing. We the ones who created that, so we're the ones that have to solve it. But you don't solve it by living in the past. You solve it by growing from what happened in the past. And I think that's what's good about this team that I've seen, is I think they've grown for what's happened in the past, and I think they're better because of it.
What's the biggest difference when you have your alpha leaders, like you mentioned, being able to play and be able to throw down instead of just being able to lead from the dugout?
Well, huge. You know, we talk about it all the time. You know, the lion's the king of the jungle, but yet he's not the biggest animal in the jungle. He's not the heaviest, and he's not the tallest. But it's what he thinks. Okay, he thinks he's the king of the jungle. When he walks up to the watering hole, they run. Okay, and so the difference with the alpha males, they don't do you any good in the dugout. You know, a herd of sheep led by a lion has a lot better chance to win than a whole herd of lions led by a sheep. And so when we took both our alpha males off the field, it didn't do us no good last year. It took us a long time to recover. This year, if we can get them both on the field, that's going to, I think, going to be helpful to us. Plus the growth of other players. You know, Hayden's right here, but the growth of him and his leadership ability. The 4 guys that got voted, all, you know, the leadership votes. I've never really believed in putting a C on one player. Other teams do it. That's good. I'm not debating it. I think everybody needs to be a leader. But our voting that came in from the team at the end of the fall this year was Gunner and Handsome and Castles and Cantrell. And so he's no longer a freshman, so he's got the ability to lead more now, and he has. He's done a great job of it. His team has won almost every competition that we've had in the fall and the early spring so far. So that's the growth of another leader, and that's huge because he's at shortstop. Those guys, go back and look at the record that BT had here when he played shortstop as a leader. And so these guys are really important to us, the alpha males, to have them on the field. And so if we can get those 2 guys on the field, keep Hayden and Castles healthy all season, because that's where we're the lightest. We're young behind them. We've got to stay healthy up the middle for this season. I think home and home, yeah, and I think maybe 2021, something like that. Don't quote me on it, Bab knows, but we're working on some good baseball.
All right, was your 25th year mean just, going in and having that?
Well, you know how it is. There's an old saying, you know, if you don't want any critics, then don't do anything, right? And so, you know, being 25 years or whatever it is, you know, in the front end of your career, they hope you don't leave. In the back end of your career, they say you've been here too long. So, you know, we all got critics, and winning and losing brings the critics out. But, you know, again, our plan is to grow boys to men. That'll never tire me out. Our biggest purpose is to make sure that we teach them how to use the game, not let the game use them. But at the end of the day, you know, I'll tell you, you know, somebody that says, you know, well, somebody's been somewhere long. We talk about it all the time with our players, you know, no Q and S guys. Those are guys that quit and stay. You see that in the corporate world, right, where somebody's quit but they stayed. That's the worst thing you can have. On our resume as a team, we've won everything there is, a super regional, a regional. We've been to the College World Series. We finished unanimously #1 in the country at one time. Everything on our resume is good. The only one thing that's lacking is a national championship. So to be quite honest with you, I mean, that's what we're chasing. Is that going to be easy? Nope. That's why it's tough to get that one. So Jerry and I always talk about that. Let's see who can win the first national championship. And but there's a lot to do before you can start worrying about that, right? There's going to be a process that you're going to have to go through to get to that level. And some people at the end of the year are left standing national champions, mainly because they went through the process that it took to get to that point. And sometimes it can be pretty, sometimes the process can be ugly, but that's our goal right now, is to be the best we can be, stay off results, stay on the process that it's going to take for us to first win a championship. You got to win a championship. That's our #1 goal. To win the conference tournament championship's the goal for us, and then to get to a regional. We got to get into the 64. If you don't get into the 64, you know, there's no way you have a chance. And so I'll say it again, I either have a good Memorial Day or a bad Memorial Day. And last 2 years, you know, my wife couldn't hang around me on Memorial Day. So we're trying to have a better Memorial Day this season.
Okay, we're gonna move into the student athletes now, so, thank you, Coach. If
Okay,
you will be
thanks, John.
around